Springs board, if you don't mind.
No, go for it. I think it's just an interesting thing. I know. I don't know. It was before the last meeting. It was high in the charts as well. I found
Wow.
that.
Okay. All right. Well, this is really good information. I can share it with them because we're coming up on some crucial issues here. So this would be really good data for them to be working with.
Did somebody else log in that's using their phone?
That's me, Bill. I tried I had the same problem with can get video but no audio.
I show you muted, John.
Well, yeah, but I unmuted. Doesn't work.
Okay.
So I'm on here twice.
Okay. All right. Very good. Alan Krutek is not going to be here, so you're sort of in charge.
Okay, sorry I'm a little late. Let me see if I can pull up the agenda.
We're still waiting to get a quorum here.
I see a couple of phone numbers. Who else is here?
Georgina.
Hi, Georgina.
And Alan,
Hello?
the other one is John Goodwin. My audio on the Google thing, it's just video, so I have to listen by phone.
I see it. Thanks, John. Hi, Georgina.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. I just have to remember to mute and unmute.
Christina, were you able to get a hold of Shauna or Gabe? I should have said Montana.
So I got a hold of Gabe. He said he'll be about 8 minutes before he logs in. He's heading to his office now.
Okay.
And Shauna I did not get a response from Shauna.
Okay.
Okay, so since we don't have a quorum, gotta just wait a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe sing some songs.
You're bundled up. Where are you?
I'm in Winslow, and it's in the 30s right now. It was 4 degrees this morning. It said feels like -3.
Really? That cold?
Yep.
I didn't think it got that cold, but I guess it does. I mean, it's very similar to, the high desert.
Yeah, very similar. But you guys at least have snow. Here it's just cold.
Well, we got a dribble, but we'll take whatever Mother Nature wants to give us.
Right? Is Virginia here too?
No, she's off today.
She's on the agenda.
Yeah, I saw that. I'll talk about it.
How long do you think you want to hold off to get a quorum?
Just a couple more minutes. Montana said Gabe was on the way to his office. To take him a few minutes.
Yeah, that'll be a quorum.
Okay.
Did Krutik have anything to say?
No, he lost his grandmother, and so he had that and some other issues to deal with.
Oh, no. So I've seen pictures of lines for shots. Is that getting better? I guess, I mean, the good news is a lot of people are getting shots. Not everybody, but obviously a lot of people.
It was about an 8-hour wait over the weekend, from what I hear.
How many people got vaccinated?
The only thing I don't know exactly how many people got vaccinated, but they were doing 4 at a time, and it took each group 15 minutes to run through. So I don't think they were prepared they had more people than they had time. They had to turn them away, from what I understand. It ran out.
Ran out of vaccinations?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, my husband and I were able to get in at the last minute, so that was a surprise. We drove up and there was nobody there.
Yeah, I don't know whether they ran out or they ran out of time. I'm not sure. I just know that they did go to a certain distance down the line and told people to might as well go home. So and that might have been the limit on the vaccine.
Well, it was one cold day, 26 degrees outside waiting. That was hard on the elderly people, very hard. I'm hoping that the city might think about using the gyms, the huge gyms that we have, the recreation gym or the school gyms. So, because that outside was cold at 20, like I said, 25, 26 degrees. It was, and there was a wind.
Oh, okay, Gabe showed up.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that gives us a quorum. So let's get this meeting underway. So call the meeting to order. Could we have a roll call, please?
Krutik Bakta, Alan Afel,
Yes.
Gabriel Garcia,
His mouth moved.
Georgina Ortega Angel,
Here,
and Shauna Sandoval.
So we should procedurally vote if we're going to excuse absences. So, Bill, the question is to you. Who notified you that they weren't going to be able to come?
Crew Tech only. I haven't talked to Shauna. And we haven't been able to get a hold of her.
So I think we should entertain a motion to approve Kritik's absence.
make the motion that we approve Krutik's absent.
Is there a second? Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Second.
Thanks, Gabe. Any discussion? Move to approve. Any opposed? Motion carries. Approval of the minutes. Are there any questions about the minutes? This is from December 8th. I hear a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second.
It's just going to be you guys motioning and seconding everything. So,
Gabe, we'll play. We'll take turns, Gabe.
All right.
Any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Approval of the agenda. I entertain a motion. Any changes or comments or questions on the agenda?
Man.
Entertain a motion to approve the agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Thanks, Georgina. Is there a second?
I second.
Thanks, Gabe. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, thanks for all the procedural stuff. Finance report, Bill?
Okay, so right now we're averaging about $28,000 a month. We originally budgeted about $112,000 for lodger's tax for this year, this fiscal year, just due to COVID and the expectations of our hotels being totally shut down. However, our income is at $171,000. So this keeps up. We're going to be doing a whole lot better than we had expected. As far as compared to last month, other than the additional $28,000 of income, we have a total net balance available outside of the commitments of $157,698. So almost $158,000 available in our budget.
Sorry, what was that number again, Bill?
I'm sorry?
What was that number again?
The final number?
Yeah.
157,698.06.
Unencumbered.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Anything else on the finance report? Bill, do you think that we should amend or update the budget in line with better expectations?
Well, you know, I think we can hold out until the April meeting, because part of the discussion today is going to be on making requests for projects and events and so forth. And that may have you know, I don't know what that impact's going to be.
Does that make sense to the rest of you? That seems okay to me. And by then, we'll have a much better sense of how quickly vaccinations are rolling out, which will have a big impact on occupancy.
Yes, yes. You know, the largest amount, of course, for the FY22 New Mexico True campaign, we already have that money set aside and encumbered, as well as the visitor's guide. So all those things will be coming up in that April meeting as well. So we still, I think, are sitting pretty good for, you know, fiestas and Doyle Dave just sent me an email about a solar car race that's part of the Santa Fe Trail. That'll be in August, it looks like. So that could be another event. I passed that on to Chuck. So, you know, things could be happening. So I think you're right.
So, Bill, maybe could we ask that for the April meeting, we reevaluate the budget in
Okay.
light of whatever happens between now and then? This is true on the state level too. So, for example, oil and gas revenues are better than anticipated, so the deficit is less than anticipated.
Mhm.
So we should adjust that, because if there is more money available, I think it's important not to be sitting on it, since there's been so much suffering in food and beverage and hotels in particular. And if there's a way to support tourism with higher spending, we should look to do that instead of sitting on monies.
I agree. I mean, the city's getting ready to do that this month as well.
I have a question. Do you foresee any more COVID money coming in for the budget? You know, with the new administration coming in, is there any talk about that?
So I can speak to that on the Recovery Council. Of course, we're still meeting every week. We have a meeting today at 3. And of course, PPP round 2 is out now, and the applications are available now. And we know, for example, that Community First Bank is participating in that round. And there's a couple of new banks as well. Clearinghouse Bank, which is a CDFI, is participating as well. I have not heard yet whether the other Las Vegas banks are, but Bill, if we find that out, obviously we want to encourage people to apply as early as possible, because I'm guessing that they'll run out of that money just like they did with the CARES Act money.
Right.
It's going to be oversubscribed. But yes, Georgina, there is a lot of money in this second round of stimulus that's available for small businesses and nonprofits. So obviously we want to get as much of that money into the Las Vegas and San Miguel economy as quickly as possible. And certainly the Biden administration has suggested very strongly that they will do additional stimulus, not just this round of PPP, but additional stimulus, which is probably going to have to go to cities, counties, and states, because of course they can't print money and they've been running enormous deficits. I don't know how the city budget is, but I'm sure it's been really stressed over the last 6 months. So I think we can reasonably expect that there will be more stimulus coming, Georgina, to your question, but probably not until the end of February.
Okay, so then with your looking at doing something in April, I think that's a good suggestion. That's what I was heading toward, was how it might change our April's budget then, because of money that might be coming in to help us here, in any kind of form.
I hope you're right.
Okay.
I think you are. Bill, is there anything else on the finance report?
No, that's it.
Item 6, do we have any public input?
I did not receive any public input.
Okay. Hearing none, we'll proceed with the agenda. So 5 items today. The first is set up dates to receive event funding applications. Is there a staff report?
I'm not sure how we've done this in the past, but I just know that normally at the April meeting, before the April meeting, or between this meeting and April, we normally put out the word that lodger's tax is collecting applications for FY22 events and requests, projects. So I think we just carry forward with that, and my feeling is that we should ask for those projects and events for presentation at the April meeting.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
with that said, I think on those applications, we should also note that go to indicate something about the restrictions that the state is going to put on us
Right.
as far as the type of events. So we're not getting, oh, we want to have an event, but it's enclosed or it's this. No, let them know up front that these are the guidelines for public events.
So these projects and events will be for July, August, September, and on. So they're going to be a little bit late in the year anyway. It's not for projects to start in April. It's for basically for planning in April. So hopefully, by then we'll have a better idea what's going on with COVID and vaccinations and whatnot.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay,
Yep. Sorry, Georgina, go ahead.
No, I just want for us to always be thinking about what's going to happen in 5 months from now, because as we all hear the news, there is another virus coming, and it's coming from all parts of the world, and they're definitely going to go through us at some time. And I just want to make sure that whatever we do, we want to always be concerned about the safety of any public gatherings.
I think we can put that caveat in with the request, obviously.
Okay. That's all I wanted to say.
I think that's a good point, Georgina. Under COVID, what is allowed is determined by the public health order.
Mm-hmm.
Comes from New Mexico Department of Health. And underpinning that are the COVID safe practices that are adopted by the state for different industries. And right now, on the red to green scenario that the state has adopted through Department of Health, no events are going to be allowed until we get down to a lower transmission rate. And we don't know when that's going to happen. And we don't know how quickly vaccines are going to be rolled out. The expectation now, or the promise, is 100 million doses in the first 100 days, but that still gets us into May. So part of the problem is, and it's not just for us, it's the entire state. Imagine that you're a huge event like balloon fiestas or the Indian market in Santa Fe, and you have to expend millions of dollars and assume that you're going to have tens of thousands of visitors, and they don't know what this status is going to be and whether they're going to be able to open those events in summertime or fall. So some of them are looking at rescheduling their events for later in the calendar year. And of course, that's going to be much safer. It's just a question for us, I think, of fiestas, right? It's going to come up first, a big event, and will you be able to have public gatherings of more than 5? And the answer right now is no. So I don't know whether the city is having those conversations of whether or not to shift that calendar to later in the year, and whether or not it makes sense for us to recommend something like that.
Well, I know Fiestas is their meeting, and I think they're gonna go as planned, but of course, we don't know what's gonna happen in July. So obviously, you're gonna have to be fleet of foot, I would guess, to be able to shift things over, and as we anticipated last year, and it never happened. So,
yeah. Anything more on this point?
No, I'm good.
We're gonna the second item is also tied to that, is the deadlines for the applications. I would think that we just have the application and so forth just in before the April meeting. And I'm looking at the calendar right now. So we're looking at the 13th, I think, for April. So we'll set that as a date to get the word out to all the organizations and what have you. We'll advertise in the paper and whatever else we have to do or have done in the past, and to get that word out. And we'll just have to play it by ear what happens at that time.
If that meeting date is the 13th, we certainly want to get those applications. That deadline should be at least a week before, or even by April 1st, so that we can get them in the packets and have due consideration.
You're right.
So should we set that date be April 1st?
Christina, Montana, when do we have to get the packets out in for the April meeting on the 13th?
For the April 3rd, for the completed packets for the board?
Yep.
I will send them out, usually I send them out by the 8th.
Okay.
So which is that Thursday before the meeting.
So if we make April 1st the deadline, then we'll have time to put that all together. So good point, Alan.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And I think since we're going to be talking about events of great importance to the community, it would be good to publicize that meeting in particular if we're talking about applications for things like fiestas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we want that agenda to be as as publicized as possible too, and say, hey, we're talking about funding for all of our events so that we can get a lot of participation.
Okay.
April 1st, does that sound okay, Georgina and Gabe?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, any other comments on this? Okay, item C, wayfinding.
Okay, we got the quote in, and it was $20,000 more than we had budgeted. But that included folks coming here and doing the installation. So basically, by working on having the city to possibly do the installation, we can save about $13,000. And so that put us down to about 158, somewhere in there. And with taxes and so forth, we figured we needed an additional $11,000 to if we want to do all the signs. We're still in discussion with the designers. There's a bunch of questions on, because we're in discussion with Highlands on whether we're going to use University over National as far as straightening things out that's been discussed in all the wayfinding discussions. So it's kind of up in the air, but if we could have the additional funding, that would cover the sales tax and be able to do the 15 or so signs that are in the full phase 1 and 2 of the project.
Discussion?
Again, they're asking. You're saying they're asking for another 20,000 on top of the 11 that they had asked for.
No, I'm sorry if I meant that. No, just 11.
Okay, it's just the 11, an additional 11.
Right. Yeah, by us, by the city doing the installation, we'll save about 13,000, and that would bring the price down. But that didn't include sales tax. So adding that back in, we're short of about $11,000.
And Bill, does you have the staff for that?
For doing the installation?
Yeah.
Yes, we've already discussed it, and the other option is we have some contractors that are going to be doing some concrete work, and we may be able to just include that, and the city will just cover that. So it just depends on what's the most efficient way of doing it. This may be a too small a job if we're going to go out and do concrete. So if we have other concrete work by a contractor, we can go ahead and dig the holes, and they can pour the concrete, and that would cover it.
Okay. All right.
I think the Gordon's Clock is another good example where all kinds of people in the community contributed efforts to getting that rebuilt and reinstalled, from electrical to framework. So I think that wayfinding is going to be really popular in the community and really well supported. So it may be that there are some other local resources that if we need to ask for help, that people will step up. And sometimes I think that these projects are more beloved when it's not just a contract to somebody who may or may not be in Las Vegas to do a design and an installation, but the community participates in some meaningful way. So just an observation. Any more discussion? Yeah.
My comment is that to piggyback to that, it is the community buys into it, which means it becomes theirs. So yes, I agree there.
Any more discussion on this request? So as an agenda item, it will require a motion. Do I hear a motion to approve an additional $11,000 to complete phase 1 and 2 wayfinding signage?
I make the motion that we approve the additional 11,000 to complete phase 1 and 2 signage of a total of 15 signs.
Thanks, Georgina. Is there a second? Gabe, are you still out there? Hello, Gabriel.
Or not.
I believe I can second, right? Even though I'm acting as the chair, I'm still a board member.
Yes.
Okay, I'll second the motion. Any additional discussion? Those in favor of the motion? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Marketing update.
All right, so we've been working on the marketing committee. We have selected 7 names to, this just happened this week. So we've selected 7 names for the voting members, and we have probably additional 5 folks that could be, like an advisory if they so desire. So we have yet to send out the notices. We just finalized it yesterday afternoon. So that will go forward, and we have to get that approved by council, but looks like a good committee to get started. And I've talked to the folks, and I've mentioned to them, about the concepts of using maybe Highlands University to be the worker bees, so to speak, for our marketing the city and our projects. And so my next step is to go ahead and contact Highlands and let them know what we're, where we're at on that, so we can have a meeting and start bouncing some ideas off of them.
Sounds good. How many did you say the marketing members were?
We selected 7.
And then advisory was,
voting members. I'm sorry.
and then the advisory?
We had about 20 something people showing interest. And so we picked 7 for the voting members, and then we haven't confirmed everybody that was left over, but we're going to and invite them to the meetings.
Okay. I look forward to that.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds very promising, Bill. I don't remember seeing anything like an RFP for general marketing services. Has that been developed?
We've been kicking that around, and we're more leaning towards an MOU, because unless we come up with something, a definitive campaign, we talked about them working with us through lodger's tax, for instance. So when April comes and we have all these projects, we can have the committee help us with if there's any marketing and so forth required. The New Mexico True campaign obviously is going to require some input on marketing and some advice on how we're going to make that all happen. So that'll be a major campaign for them as well. And then the discussion would be to have a little bit of help here is if we go out and want to use Highlands, for instance, to develop a marketing campaign, what does that budget look like? Because right now it's hard to put an RFP out without having a feel for how much money we're going to have to dip into the $158,000 to do a campaign. And so,
and with that MOU, and I think that makes good sense. Would that MOU come back to the Lodgers Tax Board, or would just specific funding requests come to us?
I hadn't really thought about that. I would think that we would, so the lodger's tax would know how it's all working. We figure with the MOU, we could be a little bit more flexible than with just an RFP, which will almost have to have somebody come up with some definitive plans. And, it just seems so wishy-washy to me that the MOU, if we discuss, how we do it, what would be the cost involved if we come up with a campaign, what type of people would the schools supply for that type of program? That would allow us a little bit more flexibility, I think, in my mind, rather than an RFP, which is a little bit more in concrete. And I don't know if we were really ready for that. It may turn out that way, maybe better, but it was kind of hard to imagine it at this point.
Well, given the circumstances that we're dealing with right now, I agree with the MOU because it's an easier one to back away without anybody getting funding cut off from them, or if for whatever reason they have to, stop the program for whatever reason with the students. So I like the MOU, and it's our first try at it, and it's a good way of seeing how things are going to work out, and you can also figure out, well, okay, this didn't work with the MOU, and this did. It's a process of elimination without having to go with an RFP right off the bat.
I agree, and I kind of felt if we came up with a definitive project, then we can just go to them and say, what are you going to charge us for this? And then we'll know. Or how are you going to charge us for this? And then we can figure that all out, and we'll have something a little bit more to work with.
Okay.
That seems like a good idea. Anything else on the marketing update, Bill?
No, that's it.
So maybe on the agenda for April, we could make that MOU an action item. And
Right.
obviously it's a city contract, so all we would do is recommend approval.
Exactly.
Anything else on marketing update?
No.
Item E, I40 Billboards. John Goodman, I think you have a report for us?
I do. There are available 3 boards on I40 on either side of the Highway 85 interchange.
John, let me put that up because in my mind, I thought we had all the information in the packet, but it wasn't there. So let me go ahead and just put this up.
Okay.
John, I've been driving on Interstate 40 when I have to go to Albuquerque rather than going on 25, just to look at the locations we're envisioning. And the billboards would be south, or no, it's east of the exit to 85, correct?
Yeah,
Will
one
they
is
be coming both east and west?
correct. The one that's westbound, it's 37 miles east of the intersection. The one that's eastbound is 20 miles west of the intersection. And if you've driven that, you've probably seen those signs. They're really tall. They're huge.
Yeah. I have.
That's what we're talking about. They're 21 feet high and 35 feet wide. So they're not the usual rectangular ones. Yeah, you can see the picture right there.
Right. What I did notice was the billboards that I have seen, they're like in clusters, but these are not in clusters. These are actually isolated.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So that's what I was looking at. I'm going, oh my God, I hope they don't have a whole bunch of them all, clustered together, because then you really can't see, figure out what's going on there.
Exactly.
So yeah, I myself, I did that road trip about 3 times in the last month just so I can see what we were talking about.
Okay, so they're offering the 2 billboards. Again, they're both right reads. The westbound one is 37 miles east of the intersection, and the one that's eastbound is 20 miles west of the intersection. And in light of that, the board for a year, each board would be about $6,600. You need a vinyl. The vinyls are $1,400. So total for 1 year with one vinyl is $8,000 each. So that
Holy
would
moly.
well, it's 2.8 million vehicle count in 2018. So they're more expensive than the ones we have around here. Now, also, he has offered another board at a discount, but it's only about it's a $3,000 discount. And that one is eastbound 25 miles out, but it's a cross read, but it's still one of the huge ones. So the two boards that I recommended, the total is going to be $16,000 for 1 year and one vinyl. And they do guarantee the vinyls for 3 years. So if we decided to continue them, the second year and the third year would be $6,600 each.
And John, what's on those vinyls? Is there a proposal for that? Because obviously the effectiveness is going to depend on that.
Exactly. And that's part of where the marketing folks come in. We've had some quite effective billboards around here, like the Discover Historic Las Vegas billboard. I would think we would use something similar to that. The current billboards don't really advertise Las Vegas, so I wouldn't recommend those.
So would those graphics be done by Vegas First, or?
Yes, they have a graphic designer who will work with us to design it. And that is at no cost to us. So in the original billboards that we designed for Romeroville and others, Andy Kingsbury and I actually designed those. And I don't know.
What you're looking for from us is just funding. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, this would be the same way we do the Lamar and the other billboards. We don't get anything from this other than promoting Las Vegas.
Yep.
And it's simply my time. I mean, I do the contracting with the Lamar and with the individuals that we have currently, and I just forward the bills to the city, and the city pays us and we pay them. So it's just a pass through.
So I'm not sure about the location. Will these help us get the cutoff that goes through Anton Chico?
It's the Highway 85, which goes up to Romeroville.
Yeah.
That's the one.
That's the one, exactly.
Yeah, because there's a lot of potential Texas traffic there that I think we probably don't get.
Exactly.
Right.
And Las Vegas has never had billboards there, have they?
Not that I know of. The only billboards that were ever further away from the city, we had one on 85 for the Plaza Hotel at one point. That was near Anton Chico.
Yeah. But if it's not on I-25, you're missing.
Yeah, if you're not on I40 or I-25, you're missing. Exactly.
Yeah. Bill, does staff have any comments on this? Opinions?
No, my personal opinion is I think, at some point we need to stretch out a little bit. This could be one of those opportunities if we feel the price is right. John, how do you feel about the price?
I think for that area, the price is very good. And they are lit also year-round, dusk to dawn.
Okay, and that's included in the price?
That is included.
Okay.
Hey, John, I know the Logitech board, in particular, Georgina and Krutik have been really pushing for digital. Is there a digital component to this?
There is not.
So you'd certainly want to make sure that the billboard had a web address for the Las Vegas, New Mexico campaign.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm sure if the electronic component comes, my understanding of the electronic component, which is not great, I mean, my understanding is not great, is that you can add it to anything.
It's a geofencing thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a fair amount of money. It's a 1 year, $16,000 contract is basically what you're looking for.
Yeah, that's for both billboards, 2 billboards, and the vinyls.
And when would these be designed to go up?
As soon as we know there's going to be money.
Will we get to see any of the proofs before they go up?
Certainly.
All right.
So how would that go if our next meeting isn't until April? Do you want them up before April?
Are you asking me that, or?
Yeah.
I would think that we would like them to be up, by about March or April.
So we would need a special meeting or just to circulate the plans, and we could do, an online vote or comment or something on that. I don't know, Georgina, would that address your concerns?
Yes, it would. I definitely want to see what is going to be put on that billboard. Any kind of comments from the lodger's tax, since we're going to be paying for it.
Exactly.
I would agree. So John, you think we can do that and build that into your schedule?
I think we can do that.
Okay.
I will get with Andy Kingsbury and we'll see what we can develop.
So,
Like I said, I've driven that route 3 times in 1 month, looking at all of the billboards, and I did not like the clusters, but the ones that you identified off that exit, they're not clusters. They're by themselves. I like it. So it's you're not getting a whole bunch of stuff bombarded on you.
Well, plus they stand out for the spectacular size they are. That's really surprised me how big they are.
It would probably also be good to get some city staff input from Bill and Virginia and people like that, and maybe even to run it by the Media Arts Department if they're going to be involved in working on campaign questions for us, just for critique before we, because once it's up for a year. We're not going to change it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
I agree. Get some crucial input on that.
John, do we have flexibility in this, or are we going to have to commit to a contract ASAP, or what?
Well, he's held the price for me for about 6 months, which is, I'm shocked. So I think that we can have the contract as soon as, to begin as soon as we get the vinyls done, which would take place. It's probably going to take at least a month or a month and a half to do that.
So do the design first and then go to contract? Is that what you're thinking?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
So Bill, procedurally, we'll vote on it, but all we do is make a recommendation. Does the city council still have to approve the funding?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so got to build that into the schedule. So even if we approve it, the city council might not.
That's a possibility.
Okay, any other discussion on this?
No, just make sure that we get what we want in there. Definitely lighting 24/7, like you had mentioned, from sunset to sunrise.
Right, that's included in both of these.
Right, so it's not something, no surprises down the road. Oh, well, this wasn't included in the contract. Oh, this wasn't there. Just so we know what we're getting for the 16K.
Right.
All right. Okay, do I need to make a motion?
I'm afraid so.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the funding or to go forward on the billboards on I40 near the Santa Rosa exit. And it's for 16. Do we need to put a price on this? Do I have to mention the price?
It's probably a good idea.
Okay, we'll make it
$16,000.
Yeah, $16,010.
Okay, $16,010, zero change for 2 billboards for 1 year, and that includes the vinyl for the 2 billboards. That includes the graphics and everything, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Thanks, Gabe. Discussion? Those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, John. I appreciate it. I know that's a lot of work for you guys as volunteers, and we appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thanks,
And
John.
I'll get in touch with the guy right now.
Sounds great. Good work.
All right,
Are there
thanks.
any other discussion items? We're in section 8. Any other discussion for today?
No.
Hearing none, section 9, new and other business. Is there any new business that we should discuss? Going once? Hearing one, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I second that. Or I make the motion to adjourn.
Motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, thanks, everybody. It's 2:56. Nice job.
All right.
Thank
Very
you.
good, everybody.
Thanks,
Okay.
everybody.
All right.
Be safe out there.
Be
All
safe.
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.